Hello and welcome to the Luckbox Podcast. This is, I don't even know how to describe the show. I guess it's an eSports show.
Let's hope so, because I'm not very good at anything else.
Have you not prepped for what we're talking about? It is eSports, and with me, it's Paul Chaloner.
How you doing?
Affectionately known as Redeye. Thanks for coming on the show.
What was your old nickname when I used to beat you in Quake?
When you used to beat me in Quake, I think this is Dreamland, so it could be anything.
Yeah.
Well, obviously I go as Sujoy, but what did I used to go as?
There was definitely another name for a while.
I used to be a Star Wars fan, so I used to do all sorts of random stuff.
I mean, that's the weird thing, right? People now, they have like a nickname and that's the nickname and you use that everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Back then, we never did that. We just knew one every week.
Yeah.
And then until I had to register on Barry's World or something, and then I was like, you have to have a nickname now. You have to stay with it, otherwise we get banned. And I'm like, oh, all right.
Well, I remember thinking really carefully about this, that, okay, now I want to be a pro gamer, I'd better seriously have a nickname that works.
But you have such a cool name anyway.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I just ended up with Sujoy. I thought it'd be easy enough.
You've been like a trendsetter when you think about it, because like we went through a period of everyone had to have a nickname, and then we went through that period of where everyone was like, nope, let's revert back to our original names.
Yeah.
And then now we're back to nicknames. So you were there before anyone else.
But this is one of the things we're going to talk about, is that we wanted esports to be legitimate.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we're thinking up sort of ridiculous names.
Yeah.
And you get the media story. And
absolutely.
You've seen that.
Yeah.
It's in the article that Ripper121 is doing this and really sort of politically.
There were some really offensive names back in the day. Like nowadays, it's not too bad, because I think people go, ooh, this might be on TV. And whilst it'd be funny to be called Cunning Stunt, I don't think I can get away with that now. It probably needs to be
I
bit
remember
more politically friendly.
I remember awful ones. I mean, I can say it's my show.
It is your show. Say whatever the hell you like.
We had Bitch Slayer 519. Do you remember back in the Quake days?
519.
519.
519.
DJ
DJ Wheat's team. Yeah,
Yes.
indeed. The infamous TDM team.
Yeah, we were a bit out of control.
Yeah.
But it was.
We've definitely cleaned up a little bit anyway.
Well, that's the thing. Esports came from these roots of just our underground.
Yeah.
Rebellion days of we are not what everyone else is, and so it kind of felt all right at the time. Yeah. But then the evolution has, like you say, it sort of got to the stage, and this is what I'm saying. It's like we wanted to be esports players who were taken seriously, and you couldn't do that.
But we're also talking about an age, because a lot of people watching or listening to this will think, but why would you call yourself Bitch Slayer 519 when there's all that social media out there? And there wasn't. That's the point. There was no YouTube, there was no Twitter, there was no Facebook, there was no Discord, there was no nothing. All we had was IRC. Yeah.
We're showing our age now, by the way.
All right, let's move on then.
No, that's fine. I mean, I think it's actually really relevant, because when you look at what's happening today, you always do it in the context of you've got YouTube, you've got Twitter, and everything gets out very quickly. Media's disseminated straight away, and you can live stream. These things, like you wouldn't believe the luxury of being able to broadcast an event.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm sure you've got stories of how hard it was.
Oh, unbelievable
to produce anything from an event.
Yeah, even going to like a small event and saying we're gonna stream this via Shoutcast, which was audio only, and often you'd be streaming at 64 kbps. And when you think about that now alone, and that's basically 4K a second in real money, right?
And even that was a struggle.
And that was a struggle sometimes, because you were like, guys, I've only got a 56k modem. How are we going to do this? Wait, what? No, we need more than a 56k modem. We need at least 4.6k. And they're like, yeah, it's impossible. Sorry.
Well, just for context then. So basically, Paul and I go back a long way.
We do.
Back to the old days of esports. And we're talking
96, 97?
Yeah, more than 20 years ago, playing Quake online with modems, although I wasn't always on a modem.
No, because you cheated. You had like a cable uni ISDN T1 line or something. I don't know what you had.
Back in the days before the real internet, back in the days before broadband, it was a struggle to do anything.
It was.
So we were going to events, and you were there. Not being paid,
usually paying to get there.
Yes, you paid to get there because you saw something in there that you wanted to get the message out. You wanted to create a way for somebody not at the event to watch it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that was the only thing. It wasn't like it was a passionate thing. It wasn't like the very early days. I don't think anyone ever spoke about, oh, we could make jobs of this. Like we could have a career in doing it. No one ever said that. It was more about, we're doing this small event and 4 teams are going to turn up, but all the other teams that played in the competition want to know what's going on. So all we had was IRC scoreboards, and that wasn't particularly fun. But you would sit in an IRC channel and watch the score go up every round, right? Or a TDM game as the frags came in. And so for us, it was like we can add commentary to that. That makes it more real, right? You can talk about the players and what they're doing and how cool it is and everything else. And that was the only reason we did it. And mainly, I have to be really honest with you, at my age at the time, I was early 30s, it was more about I couldn't compete anymore, right? The top level was hard for me to stay competitive.
But
this was a way of staying involved. This was a way of me saying, actually, I can do something else to help that community. I can deliver something else that I'm enjoying as well. It wasn't really about I'm going to be this, this cool guy and I'm going to save the community or anything. It was nothing like that. It was purely selfish. Like, I wanted to be at the event. I could do it through having a good voice and talking about the game. And it meant I could stay involved.
I would have spun that differently. You're being very honest, Paul.
No, I'm being brutally honest. It's exactly how it is. Like, you just want to stay involved in it.
Well,
it's fun.
This is the thing. Obviously, we do a lot of media interviews. We did one earlier today.
Yeah.
Just talking about the history. And I guess we have rose-tinted glasses about some of these things. It's like some of us, puffing out our chest, believed in this thing before all of you guys.
Oh, you did? I mean, I remember early interviews with you in like, I don't know, probably like 98, 99, something like that. And you were doing interviews with like PC Gamer, PC Zone, those kind of magazines and stuff. And I think Thresh was doing it at the same time. And it was basically you and Thresh were the people that I looked up to as people that were doing it properly. But I didn't have those same aspirations as you guys. You were much younger than me, so you were looking at it from a player point of view. I was looking at it from a totally different point of view. I was looking at it, how long can I stay involved in this? Well, I have to do a real job to pay the bills, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you had already started thinking about, what does it look like professionally? And I didn't do that until probably 2004, 2005, even when DJ Wheat hired me to work at Radio ITG. And then when I started doing that, I was like, I'm kind of working part-time on this radio TV station. Well, that's pretty cool. And then I started to think about it more I might be able to make money from this. I might be able to do this as a job. Of course, it was a lot longer after that we actually finally did do that. But it wasn't, for me, it wasn't as early as it happened for you or Thresh or any of the other guys.
Well, but to be fair, I think there were waves in this industry, right? Yeah. Enthusiasm building up and dropping off, and it's like, oh, this is all awful.
All the time. All the time.
So there's definitely time. So I started in 99 where I thought, let's turn it into a business. But I remember as Quake 3 kind of dropped off, you guys were still there doing Quad V at the time?
Yeah, we're doing Quad V. I think we're doing... I think Quad V had started quite then. I think we were still doing ITG.
Okay, yeah.
TSM was still doing stuff. Got Frag TV were doing stuff.
Yeah, but that's a labour of love, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Ask any of those guys. Ask Scoots. Ask Alchemist. Ask Trevor from Got Frag. Ask any of the guys from TSN. Ask any of the guys from ITG. Alison, Marcus, any of those guys. And they'll tell you that they literally did it as a passion project. It wasn't because they could make any money out of it.
And this is one of the things I wanted to talk about is like the structure of esports. Yeah. Because the things we have now, right, we do take for granted a lot. And we have the ability now to have a production and talent team and talent are flown over and looked after these days. And we
have green rooms and fruit to eat. And
well, what's the experience
people
like?
To run and
I don't know. We had that question on Twitter, actually.
What's that?
What's the experience like as talent going to an event? In case, because not everyone sees that. They see you on screen.
Yeah, sure.
And not the journey to get there. And
it's weird for me because I've been lucky enough to work in TV. And TV, whether you want to be sports TV or you don't want to be sports TV isn't really the question. It's more that their processes set the way that you would do things. And they taught me an awful lot about how to be a broadcaster. Alongside that is all the supplementary stuff. So, for instance, on a live TV show 11 years ago that was fully funded, I would be not only paid a decent fee for the event, which I think is still probably higher then than it is now, which means we've still got some way to go. But I was also looked after. I would have a wardrobe assistant. Yeah. And she would look after all my clothes. And they weren't my clothes, they were bought for me. I was measured, and people would go out and buy stuff, and then she would mix together something that I would wear on the show that night. Okay. We don't have that in esports right now.
Actually, well, I mean, that's the thing. I think people have this impression that you're divas and all mollycoddled.
I think we are, but I don't think we're necessarily, big star divas yet. And I think there are things that we still need to do our jobs properly. And that's the point I'll make when I come to the end of what I'm going to tell you. But so wardrobe assistant, there's one thing. I have a makeup and stylist who will look after me, trim my hair, do my eyebrows, do my makeup, everything else that I need for the show. And she'll be dedicated to just me, Fatality, and Marcus, and that's it. She just looks after 3 of us on the entire show, and she's checking us all the time. And alongside the wardrobe assistant, they're constantly coming over, adjusting ties, making sure our jackets are defluffed, all that kind of stuff. They're looking after us to make us look presentable on the show. That's their job, right? We don't have any of that right now. We have a makeup artist at most events, but they're very much, they'll come across with a used stick and they'll slap a load of crap all over our faces, and hopefully we don't look too white, and hopefully we don't look too yellow or too red. And they cover up our blemishes, and that's about it. Yeah. Hair-wise, most of the time I have to do my own. It's not something that I'm that worried about, but there are hairstylists on most big esports events now. Occasionally we'll have a stylist, but with a stylist, that's great. ESL have done that a number of times, but we'll take all of our clothes in, and she'll make sure they're all done and looked after. She'll manage the wardrobe, and then each day we'll select different mixes for you to put on, and that's actually quite nice. It's like a hybrid in between what TV did 10, 11 years ago for me and what we've got now. On top of that, I had a floor manager who would literally make sure I was in position where I'm supposed to be at what time. We've kind of got that now with talent managers, because they kind of do everything. They'll run and get us food. They'll make sure we're in the right place at the right time. They'll guide us to wherever we need to go. They'll take us to fan signings or whatever. So we're getting there with that. But here's the biggie for me, and this is the weirdest one. I had a pronunciation manager.
Wow.
So we've gone through rehearsals one afternoon, and a Brazilian team were playing, and they had a player called Jorginho. And he came over and he said, a couple of points for you. They're just Americanisms. You said this, we'd like you to just say that. Yeah. So it'd be mobile. Just little things like that, because it was an American audience show. And also, by the way, it's Jorginho. And I was like, oh, no.
That's really useful,
it's not actually. It's Jorginho. And he went, what? And I was like, no, it's Jorginho. And he went, no, it's Jorginho. And I was like, no. The guy is Brazilian, therefore they speak Portuguese, and Portuguese, the J is a hard J, and he went, let me get back to you on that. 10 minutes later he came over and said, yeah, you're right, I didn't realise that. I thought it was the Spanish version. So even though I had a pronunciation specialist, he still couldn't get it right. But that just shows you, how crazy is that? We have someone checking the pronunciation on the show. Yeah. So TV is another level, right? And whilst I think we're 95% of the way there in terms of production, we're not there in terms of talent treatment, player treatment, staff treatment in general, hours. The hours are absurd. We do 16 to 18 hours on a regular day is not uncommon in esports at all for us as talent, and that's too much for someone who's on camera. It's also too much for the people behind the scenes as well, by the way. They haven't got to be on camera, so they don't have to look good. They can wear whatever they want and chill out, but it's still 18 hours of work a day. That's insane. In any other industry right now, we'd be shut down. We would be shut down and told, no, the working conditions are outrageously bad. You can't do that anymore. So we've still got a long way to go.
Okay. Actually, before we carry on, let me just make sure we're recording.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
This would be a disaster if we're not. It's just that the screensaver kicked in, and
we're all good.
There seems to be something going on there.
Yeah, we're all good.
Yeah, I think so.
We're all good.
Well, see, we're in a new
studio.
studio.
We can edit in post.
No, let's leave that in. It's fine. Well, this is a new studio. I mean, we've had it built just for this, actually. I mean,
it's very nice.
What do you think of our small room?
It's nice.
It's very clean.
It's very clean. We'll have to dirty it up, I think.
Yeah, you can't see all around us, but it is bright.
We need to mucky it up or something. Put some rude words on the screen behind us.
All right, but apologies in advance. See, here's the other thing: I'm hosting this show.
I know. That's so cool. I just get to come in and just sit here and talk.
Well,
crap.
But think of poor me, right? I'm sitting next to the guy who is the host of eSports.
Yeah, well, one of.
I don't know, but in my mind, it's like, who's hosting it? It's probably Redeye.
It's Redeye machine most of the time.
we turn on eSports here in the office all the time, and it's like,
you must be sick of me, right, when I come in here. You guys are like, oh, God, it's that Redeye again. I saw him only yesterday.
Yeah. Give us someone new, come on.
Yeah.
But it is like as a bit scary for me.
No,
to have to do this.
No, it's just me and you having a chat. It's like we go to the bar and have a chat.
Okay, but I've never hosted before. So
have you not? But you're doing fine.
You're gonna point out, right? You already told me to put the headphones on the right way.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more things you're gonna tell me, but now that's one of the questions we had was like, this is what's really cool is you had a document, a book actually.
Yes. Yep.
About how to be esports talent.
Yeah.
And I hear about this all the time because people who, it comes up all the time and it's like, oh yeah, Redeye's got a book about this.
That's cool.
Like, how did that come about? And the question is, are you doing another one?
I'm not planning to do another one right now. Although I think if I get enough people that say, hey, it needs updating or it needs rewriting or maybe add a section on this subject, then maybe I could add something to it. But I hadn't planned it. I mean, I left it as a piece of work that I felt was relatively complete.
Well, the funny thing is I haven't actually read it yet. I've told everyone else to. I'm so sorry.
Right, get on that immediately. I'm going to wait until you've read every page. No, it started off, I wrote something a lot smaller, I think probably like 15 or 16 pages in 2007, 2008, around that time. And it was mainly because working at Quad V with Joe Miller, Stuart Saw and Lee, D-Man Smith, we collectively agreed that there was just no talent coming through. There was just no, we were the four main British guys and a few others, but the main ones that were there, and no one else was coming through. It was just like, where's the next wave of talent coming from? Like, we're running out of people to take to event. We need more people. Why can't we find these people? So it was really born out of that originally, to try and help those that did want to try it, not just give up. Because I think back in those days, it was very easy to just set up a shoutcast server and just shoutcast, right? But getting people to tune in was really tough, and therefore you would sit on a channel with 10, 15, 25 people, and that's quite disheartening if you're just doing that week after week after week, and it doesn't get any better. So it was more to try and help people improve and get better. And then from that, about 3 or 4 years ago, I really felt like it had changed incredibly. How you start had changed, how you got into esports changed, how you broadcasted had changed. We had Twitch now, you could live stream. And so I felt like I could update the book, and it just started off as a passion project. I would just write some stuff every now and again, and then over a period of about 6 or 7 months, the guys at ESL said, why don't you publish it in parts? So I was like, that's a really good idea, actually, yeah. So we started publishing, and I think I did 6 parts over 7 months. And each part just got longer and longer and longer. Each part was like 3,000 or 4,000 words each. And then I've made 6 of those. And then we said, well, let's put it into a book, and then I'll update it. So I then started putting it into a book, and I think it took me another 12 months before I pieced all of that together. And I'd left ESL by then as well. And then I added all of the hosting stuff as well that I'd learned along the way. And a lot of it's personal musings and experiences that I've had. Things I've had passed on to me by smart people and stuff I learned in college, and just putting it all together and trying to give people a leg up. It's not meant to be follow these rules and you can be a great broadcaster. It's not like that, but it's more like I want to be a host. How do I hold the microphone? What side of the head should I put my headset on? They're just little things that you can pick up through it. Amongst my personal experiences, and unfortunately I think it was over 50,000 downloads in the first year. I don't know what it's at right now. I haven't checked in a long time, but it's 50,000 people downloading a book about broadcasting in esports. They're basically downloading a niche book about a niche subject in a niche industry with a niche job. Like, that's pretty niche. How have 50,000 people downloaded that thing? It's insane.
But that's esports, isn't
it?
We are a niche.
Yeah.
But it's not just a minority niche anymore.
No, it's got a lot bigger.
Yeah.
So I hadn't planned on updating it, but I could do, but it's not something I've thought about recently. Far too busy.
Yeah. Or maybe it's complete. I'll have to read it and
find
out.
Yeah. Review it for me. Review it for me and let me know if it needs any updates.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's terrible. Like, I honestly...
So second rule of hosting, Sujoy, is do your research.
I had to build the studio. I was up last night with sticky tape trying to keep things together.
I don't know if that comes see on video. You can see what I'm doing. On audio, though, I have to explain that I'm doing the world's smallest violin.
I'm still not even 100% convinced we're recording.
We're recording.
Let me just make sure. Is the time stamp on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting bigger as well.
Yeah, it's getting bigger.
All right.
It's fine.
Okay.
panic over. Don't panic, Mr. Mannering.
You don't understand the stress. It's been a long time since you were going on air and thinking, holy shit, what if it all goes wrong?
No, I mean, we still go on air sometimes, and I'm talking away and thinking, I can't hear myself in my headset right now. As you probably notice, we can't hear ourselves in the headset. We'll fix that next one.
Teething problems.
But I go live sometimes, and I'm like, I actually can't hear myself. I wonder if I've been put live yet. And then all of a sudden, my voice will break out into my headset, and I'll think, audio guy didn't press the button.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's me, and it's a button down there, and I'm like, oh, crap, I should have pressed that button. It still happens.
Well, we don't have anyone on production here, so
no.
Fingers crossed.
It's just us.
Fingers crossed. Come on. We wanted to. There's a few subjects we want to talk about.
Right.
Well, first of all, it's good to have you in London. This is one thing I realised.
Nice to be back in the UK again.
Schedule. You're actually at home.
I know.
Not doing anything.
It's
insane. Is it for a whole week you have off?
6 days.
That's incredible.
Well, 5 days if you don't count the day I landed, and then the day I have to take off again. But 5 days in the UK, which is great.
And you've been in China, so you've had both Dota and Counter-Strike.
Yeah, both in a row, back to back. I could have come back for 4 days, but that seemed a bit daft.
Yeah. I kind of like what they did at the Super Major. So there was
love what they did there.
Yeah, the Chinese event.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is they tag team the talent.
Yeah. So for the first time that I've been involved, I've been calling for 2 hosts for a while because as I said, like 16 to 18 hour days consecutively, when you do a long event, anything longer than 5 days, that becomes tough to do. You know, I'm an old man, right? I need to rest my bones and get some sleep occasionally, and I'm not out going partying every night either. Not that all the talent are, but some do. And I've been asking for 2 hosts for a while because I think it makes for a better show. It makes us better as well. And I think Shiva and I proved that over that 2-week period of the Super Major, was that doing half the day each and balancing out the amount of matches made us much fresher. Yeah. I think it made us better hosts on the show itself, which ultimately leads to a better delivery of the show as well. So
it always felt like the right energy,
right,
for a long day, because those were long days.
I mean, and here's the thing, right? Until we did the 2 hosting, I didn't realise how much I was conserving on other events. Yeah. Like I would start the day thinking, okay, I've got 4 best of 3s today. That's potentially 12 maps. That's 12 hours of game time on average, plus an hour pad each. So that's 12 hours on camera, 14 hours on camera. So that's 2 hours before we arrive. So that's 16 hours. An hour to get back. That's 17 hours. Okay, if I've got to do this for the next 6 days, I need to pace myself. I can't go gung-ho day one. I need to break it in gently. So what I would do as a host is I would send in a question that I knew was very provocative and let them discuss, and then just sat there.
And just your eyes glaze over.
Almost at times where you just think, I just need to get through this day. And then when you get to the last 2 days, you can ramp it up a bit because you're like, okay, I've saved energy, I'm good now. But you only had to have 1 bad night's sleep in the middle of that, and that would wreck you. And it would be very hard then to then get back on track. And that's the same for all talent, right? It's super hard to concentrate, and I don't drink caffeine either. Yeah. So it's very, very. You have to have a lot of willpower, and you have to conserve energy, and that's not how you should be on camera. You should be able to give as much energy as you want to it, and be animated and have fun with it. And you can't always do that when it's such a long tournament with long days.
The second event was the CS:GO Asia Championship. Yeah. So I actually didn't know you were going to be on this. So that one was a surprise. I switched on and it was like, oh, there's Paul again.
Yeah.
How big is CS in China?
Not huge, but it got released there last year, or in the last 6 months, I think, maybe even earlier this year.
Because I wouldn't have picked it to be.
It was massive. The release was huge. They painted the side of buildings and stuff. It was an enormous launch.
Okay.
Absolutely enormous. But they generally have been playing CS Online in China. And in Asia in general, they're very broken because they play different games in different places. I think in Korea they're still playing Crossfire. Yeah. They're playing CS Online in China. They're playing Special Forces in Philippines right now. So there's a lot of different areas where they're all playing different versions of FPS that are all basically derivative of Counter-Strike. And what it means is the scene is broken. And you don't get quite the same level of competitive player levels as we do in the West. But it's starting to change. And actually, seeing Tyloo get to the semi-finals was good because it's progress for them and shows that actually that region is starting to pay attention. And, a country with over 1 billion people in it, there's got to be 5 good Counter-Strike players.
You don't think it's too late?
No, I don't. No, I think it's fine. I think they'll start to transition away from CS Online and they'll start moving towards global offensive. So, no, I think it's fine.
Okay. I mean, my impression would be like, okay, these guys are way too far ahead. Maybe.
Yeah, I think in some countries, for sure, like Korea maybe. Yeah. maybe Korea is gone, but some of the Koreans played really well over that week as well. I'm quite impressed. But Korea is weird because it's not a big CS country. It's not a big Dota country either. Yeah. It's very Overwatch, League of Legends heavy, and they seem to have picked that's what they want to do. And once they've picked it, it's kind of like everything just magnetizes to that. Sponsors, teams, players, everything.
But you can see why. They've got so much esports heritage that you wouldn't want to do something and be bad at it.
No, and I think that's part of it, isn't it? It's like, if they're going to do it, they're going to win at it.
Yeah.
They can't just go into Dota and not win, like the international 3 years in a row. That would be unacceptable. There is an element of that, I think.
I mean, I do the same thing when I'm playing games.
Right. You pick the games that you're good at.
Well, yeah, I try to only play games if I'm going to be good at it. Right. I have a hard time being bad at it because...
me too.
You know what? I'm thinking, look
that's why I don't play very much Dota. Okay. I don't play much Dota at all. I play it for educational purposes more than anything else.
Because they'd say, like, look, you're always on the screen, you're always involved, like, why are you so bad at it?
Yeah.
Right? So
that's exactly what they say. You've been in my games, haven't you? Yeah, that's exactly like, you're supposed to have like 10,000 hours of watching Dota and you're absolutely hopeless on Weaver. Well, yeah, because guess what? I've watched it for 10,000 hours and played the bloody thing for 10,000 hours. Yeah. I'm away, I'm working all the time. I can make many excuses. But the bottom line is I am bad at the game. The frustrating thing for me, and you may get this too, is as I've got older as well, I don't think my reflexes have got that bad, but there's definitely a disconnection between what my brain knows I should be doing and what my hands actually deliver. And that's frustrating for me. I'm like, I know I should be doing this at this point in the game. Yeah. I know that mechanically. I know it from other pro players. I know it because I've watched a ton of games. And for whatever reason, I can't deliver it. Right? That's bizarre.
But right. I'm also old. So,
oldish.
Yeah. Well, I'm sensitive about this, and I'll always argue with the fact that I don't think it is age and lack of reaction time, for example, that actually holds you back.
Okay.
Because one of the questions is.
So what is it then?
Well, I actually think it's your motivation to sit there and play and focus on the game. Okay. Because I think it's quite hard to be tier 1, that top level. Yeah. Whereas, it's fun. The games are like so fun up to this point. But then you have to grind that last step of being good at a game to be great at a game.
Yeah, I definitely don't have the motivation all the time to do that.
It's definitely not as fun as it is to just play the game and be good at it. Yeah. So who's going to actually sit down and devote their lives to being great, like world class? Yeah. It has to be someone who I think is younger, who is thinking, look, I could go and be a doctor or a lawyer, but let me give this a shot. Let me just give it a shot and see if I can be the best in the world. Because you know what? That's like the dream of theirs. They're seeing amazing tournaments around the world, and it's a case of, look, maybe I've got a chance.
Maybe.
But at someone at 30
but we haven't found,
years old.
Yeah, but we haven't found the right time to retire yet, have we?
No.
In esports, like we stopped not because we were tired, but because of real life or bills or money or jobs or people or kids or whatever it might have been. We've stopped for those reasons, and I think everyone did over the last 15 years. Only in the last 4 or 5 years have players got to the point now where they can make good money, and therefore it doesn't matter now. That is their primary job in life. So how far can we go now before they actually have to retire? I mean, Taz, 31 right now? He's still playing. All right, he stepped back from Virtus Pro, but he's still playing with Kinguin. There are other players in their early 30s now who are still performing very, very well. Zeus is one of them at Na'Vi. They just won another tournament in CSGO.
How old is he?
31.
Okay.
Guy's 31. He's won a major. Won a major last year. He's the oldest player ever to win a major at the age of 30 last year. And he's still going.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of examples of players who are in their 30s already. But the only reason there aren't, because people are saying, well, why aren't there players in their late 30s then? Well, because we didn't have eSports 20 years ago. That's why.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd still be playing. I'd still be playing.
Yeah. I mean,
we couldn't do it.
There was nothing to play, and I had to.
And exactly, we lost a game. Need a brand new genre to be invented for us to go and play again.
Yeah, that was different. The game I played disappeared, so that's not entirely my fault.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Oh, that's fine. I mean, my phone's going off. Like, I'm awful.
See, that's step 3. Turn your phone off.
Someone
Step
liked
4
to
is
tweet.
put the lead behind your back. Look.
Okay, yeah, I was looking at this.
If we were doing broadcasting, we'd be all over the place right now. We'd be fired.
It's still going. Let me put it on the floor. See, do you think that will help?
No. The floor's going to vibrate.
Okay.
So what else have we got?
I don't know. I mean, like, we've got so many things we could talk about.
Yeah.
So we had a few interesting. I mean, TI8.
Yeah.
When do they announce the talent? Do you think you'll be? Don't know.
How long is a piece of string,
Wait,
Sujoy?
do you know when you're not telling me though?
If I knew and I wasn't telling you, could I tell you that I knew and I wasn't going to tell you?
Well, fingers crossed.
Could I do that?
I don't know.
I wouldn't be able to do that, would I?
Well, so we got the regional qualifiers coming up, and I've been looking at.
I've been following them. So my screens at home literally have 3 screens right now, and all they're filled with is TI qualifiers and the World Cup. It's fantastic. Just being able to chill out and watch 3 screens. And
how much World Cup are you watching, by the way?
Well, I have it on the background, so I've kind of watched it. I mean, I watched there was some awful football plays yesterday. I don't know what was going on, but I enjoyed the Croatia thrashing of Argentina last night. That was very good.
What was the score? I didn't
3-0. Destroyed them. Croatia 3, Argentina 0. I was like, how the hell has that happened?
Messi and Aguero, they just...
I mean, I think Messi didn't turn up anyway, but most of his teammates were absent as well.
Okay, anyway, I don't want to talk about football.
No, that's what I've been watching. So, watching on the qualifier, I mean, Serenity, holy Moses,
yes.
What the hell? Like, this team, like, literally, I followed the DPC the entire season, right? And in it, every event, whether I've been watching it or working it, I've been following every single match and every single event. Yeah. And these guys... Literally, they're like a bunch of guys who came from other teams at the start of the year, and they've been nowhere. Like, they haven't qualified for a single DPC event all year, and they've just come through what arguably is the toughest regional qualifier in first place to go to TI.
Look at
and there's only GGG.
He's
about the only player on the team that anyone knows.
Yeah.
It's insane. And then IG came through as well, which isn't that much of a surprise, but it is when you look at the other teams in there.
Really? Oh, I guess
LFY is I think it's the most disappointing set of players in the last 12 months. When you think that they were finishing top 3 last year at TI, and that team's virtually not changed. And they've been very poor on the regular circuit. They've hardly qualified out of China, which we all said was it's a tough qualifier to get through. But King Gaming got out of those qualifiers sometimes. Like LFY needed to do better than they have, and to not have them at TI is disappointing.
Well, I mean, but you'd say Dota is one of the more mature esports, and these teams, the Chinese teams,
I mean,
they're not new.
It's partly why I love the game so much, and I love the esport so much, is because it's so competitive, right? And you just don't know where the next crazy story's coming. Like, a lot of people have been saying to me, the Serenity feels a bit like Wings, but no. Like, let's just rewind, right? Okay, let's rewind to 2 years ago when Wings won TI. Yeah. They won it on the back of being a very good team already. They were well established. They'd been finishing top 3 for the previous 3 months. They'd been winning tournaments that year, and they'd been going for at least 9 months before that. Serenity is not like this. This is a team that got formed from players who fell out of other tier 2 Chinese teams. Right? GGG is the only guy in that team who's got a massive amount of experience. And even then, it's not that big. It's experience, but it's not 10 years or anything. And they're a team that formed because they were kicked out of all the other teams or fell out of all of the other teams. And they fell out of all the other junior teams. Like, some of these guys come from the CDEC Avengers team, from the old eHome team. Like, they're not established household names.
Yeah.
So that was January. January that happened, right? And here we are in June. They haven't qualified for a single event that they've tried to, and suddenly they're the best team in the qualifier. That's not Wings. That's better than Wings. That's beyond Wings. That's more like CDEC in 2015 when they got to the grand final of TI. Okay. And if Serenity do that, holy Moses!
But tell me incredible. This, right? Because TI8 is probably going to be, let's assume, the biggest esports event ever. TI is the
in terms
biggest
of the money, for sure. Yeah.
Right. So now these guys who haven't qualified for anything, they're on the stage at TI8,
playing for $1 million per player.
However many millions of people are watching, and millions of dollars of prize money. Oh, my cable! You know what? I'll give up with that.
It's audio with radio.
Are they going to cope?
Yeah.
How are they going to cope with it? Are they going to crumble under the pressure, do you think?
But look, if they were going to crumble anyway, they would have crumbled in these qualifiers.
But these are online,
but it doesn't make any difference. It's China qualifiers. You've got to look at the depth of the field of these these teams, right? King Gaming, SeaDeck, For the Dream, all these the top teams all the way through this, IG in there, loads of really good teams. And don't forget, on top of that, we've already got 4 teams that are qualified. And guess what? It's TI8.
Yeah.
It's an even year.
Oh, it's
which means
8.
it's China that win this year. We've all been thinking LGD. That's what we've all been thinking.
Really?
We've all been thinking LGD are obviously the team that are going to win this year. It's written in the stars. They're an old school team. They've never won it before. They had Gel 8 there. It's all this legend that's now come full circle. Finally, they get to be the Chinese team in the Chinese year of TI, and no one's ever won 2 TIs. No one's ever won 2 TIs as a player or as an organisation. So it's written in the stars that it's LGD that win TI this year, right? But maybe it's not. Maybe it's Serenity.
Yeah.
Maybe it's these boys out of nowhere.
I think that'd be an amazing story.
It'd be better than the Wing story in many ways.
Yeah. Well, let's wait and see.
But yeah, it's super competitive. I was watching some this morning, watched some last night. Glad that Fly the Moon, they've changed the name. I can't remember what they call it.
It's something serious now.
Yeah, they've changed the name to Windstrike, I think it is.
There was CIS, sorry.
CIS.
Yeah, Windstrike.
Windstrike, yeah. So they were the old Fly the Moon team, so I'm glad they've come through. That was a super competitive qualifier.
They beat
Vegas
Vega
Squadron went
and
0-6 in that qualifier, and they were considered to be a decent-ish team. Na'Vi didn't even get there.
I know.
They went out in the opens. Like, that's how insane that qualifier, and it's for 1 spot as well, which is a real shame for CIS. I'm sad for them that they only get 1 spot. I think Europe deserved 1 spot and only 1 spot. A lot of people are saying, no, they needed 2 spots. No.
Really?
Europe needed 1 spot.
Because of Liquid?
Because it's Liquid and Secret, and then OG were 3rd out of that lot, and they were winning the qualifiers.
Yeah.
But outside of that, there's no one that was stepping up. Final Tribe had looking good recently.
Yeah.
Kinguin have had moments of looking okay, but the depth is not there. We don't look at the European qualifiers and go, oh, that's a scary qualifier. You go, well, there's Kinguin, they can be good sometimes. Final Tribe, they can be good sometimes. Kingdra, Singularity, no idea. Alliance, been terrible all season. Blinkpool, maybe because they've got some nice. They got some. Yeah, it's the new team. Win and Reign, same thing. Like kind of blow hot and cold. OG, brand new lineup. Who the hell knows? I mean, you wouldn't look at any of those and put them in the CIS qualifier and go, they're going to stomp that qualifier. You wouldn't put any of those teams in the CIS qualifier and think they could stomp it.
Well,
but there are 5 teams in that CIS qualifier who could all legitimately win any of these Euros.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, but you look at the strength of the brand OG, and it's like, well, it's OG. I mean, they're huge, and Alliance.
But it's old. Like we're thinking a year, 2 years ago, and it's just not the same anymore.
Do you want to pick a winner?
What for Europe? Well, it's only just started this morning.
Yeah, it's started.
I mean, my heart would have to be.
This is going out tomorrow, by the way. We're recording Friday, and it's going to go out tomorrow. So
my heart would actually be with OG or Alliance because they are the old school teams, and obviously Loader being a great mate at Alliance, and I've got Mad at OG, who is a very good friend.
It's actually playing out right
it's tough. Now. It's tough for both those for me. But if I actually have to pick up, I think the Final Tribe will come through that. I think they've been playing. Really? Yeah, I think they've been playing the best of all the teams in the last few months. But we'll see. Right now, they've lost to OG, which is whatever.
And yeah, well, let's see. I mean, it's going to probably be played out by the time this goes out.
Yeah, probably by the time we finish this podcast.
Oh God, how long have we been talking?
North America. North America is interesting but it's not interesting, and here's why. It's interesting because it's got a lot of good teams in it. It's got Optic, it's got Immortal, it's got EG, it's got Complexity, it's got VGA Stomps. There's a lot of good teams in there. But it's not interesting because they've got 3 slots.
Yeah.
And I think 3 slots is probably too many.
Yeah, why do they have 3 slots?
Because they've got none in the top 8.
Yeah, but whose fault is that?
I know, that's their fault. I get it, and I'm not entirely convinced. I don't want to get into that argument because I think you could be here all day. I think you can make a great case for the CIS to have 2. You could have... you can make a great case for China having an extra spot, actually. Right? Just the fact that they've got 4 already doesn't mean that they're precluded from having more because they've got a stronger team, a stronger area. When you add up all the points that have been gained by all the teams, China has more points as a region than any other region. So why wouldn't they get more invites? So I think there's lots of ways you can spin this.
What's the goal? Is the goal to see the best Dota, or is the goal to see the most diverse?
We don't know that because it's what Valve decide.
Yeah.
My personal opinion is that you use a UEFA weighting system, which is what they use a coefficient for in the Champions League. And a country, based on their previous 4 or 5 years' performances of all their teams collectively, is added together to decide whether you get 1, 2, 3, or even 4 spots in the Champions League.
Yeah. It should
and
be
it works.
something that's earned.
And it works. Absolutely, it should be earned. And so that's, I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
Smarter people than me can come up with something, but I think that's what we should look at. And it should be known at the start of the season. I don't think you should wait until the end of the season before finding out whether you got the chance of getting through one qualifier or 3 qualifiers.
I mean, should we even have regionals? Because it's a global event. It's a global sport, let's say.
I think in an ideal world, if we weren't all playing online, then fine, no need for regionals, right? What we do is we have 6 open qualifiers, and we have 1 in South America, and you can fly there, and we have 1 in Europe, and you can fly there, and we have 1 in China, you can fly there, and whatever. And we hold them all around the world, and then the best 16 or 18 or 20 teams go to TI, no problem. Realistically, we're still hamstrung a little bit by the internet and by the fact that a guy in Asia can't really play a guy in South America, right? The ping's not terrible now. It's a couple of hundred. It's better than what it was when we played, but it's still not acceptable to be able to deliver your absolute best as a professional gamer. I'd go mad if I was a pro gamer. I'd just be like, you can't expect me to play with a ping more than 50. It's just insane. Even in Dota, where they say ping isn't an issue. Screw that. It is an issue, right? It's a very heavily complex strategical game. A misclick costs you a match sometimes, right? Well, a misclick is like a half-second delay in your ping. And that's the same difference, right? Landing a black hole, that's under 0.2 seconds. Yeah. So if my ping is 500 milliseconds for just a couple of seconds, I'm screwed. I've placed it in the wrong place. I've put it on in the wrong time. So
we should demand the best, though. But that's what esports is. It's
this
level of
should,
excellence.
So for now, I think we're restricted, geographically speaking, we're restricted to regionalising stuff, at least at the qualifier level. But, hey, remember back in the days, we used to play for tournament money online, which is absurd when you think about it. Like everyone could be cheating and no detection whatsoever. Yeah. So we've come a long way still.
But 3 spots for 8 teams.
Yeah,
I don't know. To me, it feels.
I mean, Optic are shoo-ins. There's no doubt about it for me. Immortals, I would love to see them get through. I don't think they will. Complexity, same thing. I've got friends on the team. I'd love to see them do well, but I don't think they will. I think for me, it's probably Optic, VGJ, Storm, and then plus one other. And that could come from any of the other teams. Could come from Complexity, could come from EG. I just don't know.
Although, see, I'm complaining, but at the same time, there are a lot of teams I'd love to see TI8 here.
Yeah.
I mean, it just feels weird without EG. I know it's
it's
a whole
it's a new lineup now, effectively as well. But the experience that they've got with Fly being on that team and S4 being on that team means that if they don't qualify for TI, then there's some really big problems that we aren't aware of in that team. Because on paper, those 5 players are absolutely they're not just world class. They're TI potential winning lineup on the EG right now, and I would be stunned if they didn't manage to get through.
Yeah, and this was one
South
of the
America
questions.
is looking really dodgy, by the way, because it's playing right now, and I was watching it. I thought Pain Gaming and Infamous would absolutely... Yeah, I thought Pain and Infamous would stomp this, but Infamous had gone out of the groups, which is really weird.
Wow.
And Pain lost in the upper bracket to Thunder Predator. Now, I should have known better, because the Thunder Predator team is the Peruvian teams. Yeah. So they're in the upper bracket final right now, awaiting either Pain, SG, or Taurus. And Pain still have to beat Taurus and then SG, which is going to be really tough for them to beat, and then beat Thunder Predator to get into TI.
I thought it would be an easy
I thought it would be.
Pain.
I thought Pain were going to stomp this.
Okay.
I really did.
But I mean, again,
no.
I think this will be played out by the time this goes out. But one thing that was interesting is that
you haven't done SEA yet.
What's that?
You haven't done SEA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
because that's still ongoing.
Okay, that's
also they're in group stages right now.
Yeah.
And the weird thing about that is TNC Tigers are topping the group right now, not the main TNC Pro team. And TNC Tigers is Teben's team. 1437s.
Okay.
He's got, I think, a couple of Indonesians, a Vietnamese, and Singaporean maybe, or a Malaysian in there. He's got a mixed Asian team in there.
Okay.
And they're doing really well. And they beat Fnatic early on as well, I think.
So he split off from the main TNC team?
Yeah, he left the TNC team earlier, a long time ago, earlier last year, after TI.
Well, see,
but that's a really competitive region again, right? Again, I think could have had an extra slot and justified it no problem at all.
So what have we got? We got Mineski that
Mineski are already qualified because they're in the top 8.
So these guys are competing for what?
Two spaces. Yeah, two
okay.
spaces. Yeah.
All right.
Which in theory should be Fnatic and TNC. That's what you'd look at on paper, but right now TNC Tigers are looking quite good. Ballerina Elites have won 3-1, and that includes a win over Fnatic as well.
Oh, it's going to be interesting.
And I don't really know those guys, so. It's just super competitive. I love it.
But the thing about the regional qualifiers, though, just in general terms then, someone asked, is this how you promote a game in a region, get esports big. So for example, like what if we had a regional for Africa?
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, because obviously the scene's underdeveloped, right?
Well, I think it's chicken and egg, isn't it? It's chicken and egg. Like it comes down to, in Valve's case, it comes down to, do we have a big scene there? And if we have a big enough scene, we give them servers. And if we give them servers, does that mean that the game becomes even more popular because there are local servers? And if it becomes even more popular, do we then need to start including them in the esports side of things? The other side of it, the chicken rather than the egg side of it, is if you gave them servers, maybe you'd get a bigger community, then maybe they'd be more competitive, and then maybe you'd have to invite them. So which way is it? And I don't have the answer to that. All I know is that I support the grassroots people, and I spent a lot of time in South Africa in the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, you did. You've done
speaking
events
to me,
there.
I've done events down there, spoken at seminars, and really got to love the people that are involved down there. A very passionate bunch of group, and really the only difference I can see between them and say the South American region or the Korean scene in Dota 2 is that they're geographically challenged. Nothing more than that. They have the infrastructure, they have good internet in places, they have great structure of teams. Some of the most professional teams down there, Bravado, for instance, are an absolutely incredibly brilliant team. You know, fantastically professional, setting out everything you want to see from a professional team. That's what they're doing. Whether it be sponsor activations, whether it be team management, whether it be player treatment, whether it be sending players abroad. They've sent the CSGO team to North America to compete in the SCA. So I've seen lots of really cool stuff. I've seen the sort of stuff that you and I would love to have had in the UK, right? And actually, in some ways, they're even more advanced than the UK is right now in a player level. And yet, they're not invited to anything. They're not given access to anything. They've got to fight tooth and nail to get into any esport at all, right? WESG gives them a Middle East and Africa qualifier. Well, they have to fly to the Middle East to qualify. Great, fantastic,
it's not that
brilliant.
close either, is it?
But right, it's still hard, right? If they're playing Dota, where do they have to play to qualify? Europe. Like, that's absurd. Like, there's no way you can, like... Look, I've been on a flight to Johannesburg direct, right? 2 hours out of London, I'm at the bottom of Europe.
Yeah.
11 hours later, I'm in South Africa. Like, that's the whole of the continent. That place is bloody big. It's a long way. And you can't possibly expect top players to play on that kind of ping from Johannesburg or Cape Town all the way up to Europe. It's just impossible for them to compete on an even level. So I would love to see African qualify. I'd love to see South African qualifiers. I'd love to see Ghana has a big esports following. I don't know whether you've ever seen that, but Ghana has a decent has a decent esports scene. There's lots of other places across Africa that are developing these scenes right now that we don't know anything about. Middle East as well, massively untapped market. Look at the players we have. Look at the players that we have on Liquid right now.
Miracle.
From Jordan,
and
from the Lebanon. Yeah. Well, players that wouldn't ordinarily get out of their countries to come and do esports, yet they have. They've been spotted on the ladder. How many more of those people? How many more people can we find in Pakistan, in India, in Sri Lanka? All of the countries in that part of the world haven't been given the opportunity to go into proper qualifiers. So is it a global game? Yeah. Is it globally recognised as an esport? No. Could we do better? Yeah. So I think there's still evolution to happen. There's still more we can do for that.
So it is worth giving them push.
Sure. Look at South America this year. Like, the improvement they've had in 1 year.
Yeah.
Just 1 year of being involved in qualifiers.
It was such a competitive qualifier.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they can compete now. They've gone across, and we saw Payne go well at ESL1 Birmingham, and you see what they do when they do well, right? The crowd reacts to them. They're underdogs, sure, but they're getting behind them. Infamous have done okay at tournaments as well. So slowly but surely, they haven't won an event and they haven't won anything big or even a minor, but they're getting better. Their progression from, basically bottom of the group 12 months ago to not winning a single match to actually making some semi-finals this year.
Yeah, they're a threat now. I think if you draw them, you're probably not.
We don't want them in best of ones. Trust me, you don't want to play these guys in best of ones because they're freaky. You have no idea what they're going to do.
Yeah. It is exciting,
though. So I want to see the next. I want to see that next team. I want to see, Mongolia, for instance, has a great CS team. Where's their Dota team? China's fantastic at Dota, but where's Vietnam? Where's the Philippines? Where's Singapore? Where's Malaysia? Where's Indonesia? Where's Australia, for that matter? Where's New Zealand? Where's Sri Lanka, India, Pakistan? Where's the Middle East, Jordan, Saudi Arabia? Where are these players? Because their players are playing the game.
Yeah.
So why don't we see esports teams?
Yeah.
Because we're not giving them qualifiers. Because we're not giving them an opportunity.
So a region which doesn't have that excuse
is the UK. We suck. We absolutely suck
what's
at big
going
games.
on? Come on.
Well, because we've. I said this earlier to someone else. I think we have this built-in expectation that things should be handed to us on a plate. I really do. And if it's not easy, we don't want to know. generalising now. There are the odd exceptions. Smooyer in CS. There's a couple of good players playing in Heroes of the Storm. Have been European champions. We've done well at F1 eSports. We've done well in FIFA. We've done well in Call of Duty. We've done well in Heroes of the Storm. But beyond that, what I'm talking about is Tier 1 games. CSGO, nothing right now. There's no team. There's no organisation. League of Legends, limited players playing the LCS.
Yeah.
Dota. I mean, with all due respect, I love Pyrian. But if Pyrian Flax is our top player in the UK right now, like something's wrong. And I'm sure Ted would agree with me on that.
We've got a couple of good players, but none that are in Tier 1.
No, exactly. And so we need a lot of help over here. We need infrastructure and we need a system. So my thought is that we start at the grassroots. Like, get kids interested in it. Get kids off the street that are into bad stuff and all the other crap that's put in front of them out there. Get them into local youth centres and community centres and get them to play video games.
Yeah,
as a way of getting them off the street and taking them away from
set up gaming sessions.
And then we'll spot a few rough diamonds. Maybe we'll spot a few kids that are actually, hey, this kid's got some natural talent. Okay, what do we do with him now? Well, there's a national training centre, there's a school league, there's a college league, there's a uni league, there's structure, there's ESL doing grassroots stuff, there's Multiplay doing grassroots stuff, there's Belong shops, there's Faceit, there's DreamHack. There's so many organisations in the UK. We've got them all here. Yeah. They've all got studios here, they've all got leagues here, they've all got funding. How do we connect the two? Yeah. So that's the fight. That's the next level fight for me. And then hopefully in 5 to 10 years' time, we will have some top professionals going out there, males and females, all from all over the UK that are actually able to compete at Tier 1 level. But it's going to take us a long time. Yeah. Because we're lazy and we're bone idle and we haven't done enough about it in the last 10 years.
Yeah. But what we did have was ESL 1 Birmingham.
Yes.
Which I was very pleased.
That's part of the process for me. It's the aspirational part, right?
Yeah.
You've got to aspire to do something. So when you go to that and you see all this crowd and they're chanting songs and football songs and they're cheering teams over the place. It was an incredible
Can we just go back to that
literally have goosebumps on my thing right now because it was so incredible. And that's aspirational. That's what you want to be showing the 10, 12, 13-year-old kids now and get them experiencing that and going, I want to play on that stage.
Well, do you think, but because I genuinely think we're changing the narrative of what it is to be successful.
Yep.
And now by having this amazing event, which was spectacular, it's just the feeling in there was incredible. Yeah. And it gets some coverage in mainstream, but really, aren't you just normalizing it and saying, okay, that's something to aspire to?
Yeah, it's just I want 5-year-olds to be able to go to their teacher and say, I want to be an esports professional player. Why is that no different to wanting to be an astronaut? Like, it's a little bit unrealistic. There's only a limited amount of jobs. I get it. But no one told me at 5 that you can't be an astronaut. They didn't want to piss on my fireworks, did they? I'm 5. Yeah. Like, I want to be an astronaut. That's okay to be.
It's okay to have
aspirations and dreams. So when I got to 8, I was suddenly realised, like, oh, astronaut's a bit unrealistic. I'll be a pop star then.
Yeah.
Right? And then by 10, you're kind of like, pop star's a bit unrealistic, isn't it? So I'm going to be a Formula 1 driver. Yeah. And then by 12, you're like, okay, reality check. Not many Formula 1 drivers in the world either, and it takes a lot of money. So I want to be a lawyer. Right? Reality check. And then when you get to 16, you're kind of like, okay, I'm stacking shelves. All right, I get it. I'm exaggerating for effect. But it's true. And there's no reason why young kids can't look at Fortnite or League of Legends or Dota or whatever it might be and just go, I want to be really good at that. Why is that any different to going, that football's really cool, and I saw Ronaldo score a goal. I want to be really good at that. Why is it any different?
Well,
shouldn't be.
Some people would say it is because
who?
Recently, this week,
who would say that is?
So the story is, it was earlier this week. They're putting out the 11th revision of the International Classification of Diseases.
Yep.
This happens very rarely, actually, and they put in gaming disorder.
They did,
and it's listed as disorders due to addictive behaviour.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's written down here, but essentially, they've put it in. It's official now that being addicted to video gaming is a disorder.
Yeah.
And obviously, the controversy is that there's so many people saying, well, we have so little information about this. This is just based on anecdotal information.
I mean, the first point is, needs more study. That's obvious to everyone and anyone with even remotely 50 IQ. Yeah. So we need more study. Great. I'm not going to be one of those guys that just writes this off and goes, who the hell are these people? These are old generians who don't understand video gaming and have therefore written it in there because it must be bad. I'm not saying that. I think there is genuinely addiction to gaming.
Yep.
No different to there is addiction to gambling, no difference to there is addiction to drugs or many other things, right?
Yep.
Those things are out there. I don't think it's wrong for them to include it, but it definitely needs more study. Because at the moment, the classification seems to be that you and I both suffer from this.
Yeah, I mean...
But I would consider myself to be a reasonably well-adjusted middle-aged man who works in the industry. Likewise, Olaf Meister, he's classified as that.
Threshold is
every Dota player in the world is
week.
Classified as that. Yeah, because that classification is just insane, right? So it needs more study, and but on the flip side, I don't want people to just write it off, right? And I also don't want fans to get too upset about it.
Okay.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing that they're looking at this because there are going to be some that are addicted to it and need help, medical help, sociological help that we wouldn't be able to recognise, right? So that's a good thing. Okay. That's not a bad thing.
It's taking responsibility.
It is, but then there's also a flip side to that, which I've read lots of people write about, which is maybe this has come from the pharmaceutical companies to sell more tablets.
Please, no.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. So there's lots of skepticism involved, and so I would rather just be a bit more sitting on the fence with this a bit and let's just see how it pans out. And if they ask, let's tell them. Let's be honest about some of the issues that we face, because we do face them and we don't talk about them enough, right? But at the same time, I don't want people to get scared about this whole, I can't play more than 20. It's not what they're saying, right? We're talking about very exceptional, extreme versions of playing video games and where they are completely antisocial. Now, here's a cool thing. Both you and I have had this before. We wouldn't be friends without eSports right now. It's true, right?
Yep.
We've known each other over 20 years. The only reason that we've met was because we both play video games, and we both played them excessively when we were younger. And I'm not saying you have to play them excessively to meet new people, but what I'm saying is even though we played them, part of the definition of what the WHO have said is that it creates things that you shy away from. In other words, you become antisocial. Actually, the opposite happened to me. I became more social. It dragged me out of a shell that I was in. It helped me out of depression. It helped me start talking to people, albeit online like this, which then eventually developed to me and 4 mates going to a LAN together I'd never met before.
Yeah.
That I then met 20 other people that I'd never met before, who are now proper friends, such as your good self. We'd never have had those experiences had we not found video gaming.
Well,
so there are positives to be had out of this. What they're saying is we're talking about people that are excessively playing gaming and will forego everything else, including food, other human interaction, going to the toilet, all of these things. They'll just ignore all of those things to carry on gaming for X amount of hours afterwards. We're not talking 10 minutes to finish this game and then you can go to the toilet or eat or go downstairs to mum and dad or whatever it might. We're talking hours, maybe days.
Yeah.
Those are excessives, right? Okay. And so this is no different from any other disease where actually if you do anything to excess, it's probably going to cause some problems.
Well, I mean, what I don't like, though, is immediately after this piece comes out, you see The Sun publish articles.
Yes, I mean, that was always going to happen, frankly. Yeah. The BBC also did a really shitty article as well. So
and it's
not a surprise.
Anecdotal information of this terrible gaming thing happened to this person. And it's sensationalist reporting. And maybe
it is.
That's what
there's a report out today. You can go and look it up. Google it, it's fine. Where a professor has come up with a study that he's completed that shows that playing video games actually helps people with depression.
Yeah.
There's a study there. It's not like anecdotal. He's not come up with it. Hey, I wonder if playing video games would help you out of depression.
Yeah, he didn't just find one person who said,
he's done a study of it and has found it to have a positive impact on people with depression. I can vouch for that.
Absolutely.
No
I think
so. There's lots of positives about gaming. I think some of the things that Special Effect do, for instance, you can't lump everything that happens in video gaming or in esports all into one thing. Also, what a lot of mainstream people do is they lump esports in with gaming. And actually, because we're intrinsically linked that we use a game as a mechanic to be competitive, but we're not gaming, we're esports. We're a different entity of it. We're a different sub-part of it. But we get treated the same. So when them people then go, 20 hours or more, all those CSGO players and Dota players that practice, they're all addicted. No, you idiots. That's not what it means. Like, it's a different part. But the Sun aren't going to make that interpretation, and nor are the BBC, frankly, because they don't understand our industry very well. Yeah. And so it's up to us to educate them.
Okay, so fine. That's actually I hadn't thought about it like that, and I like the way you say that, as if that we should take responsibility for, say, the bad cases in gaming, but my point of view is always I will shout from the roofs the positives.
And that's my first port of call as well. Is always to fight back against these people and fight back against them and go. You know, initially I was very upset about that. I was like, oh, come on, who are you to decide this? Like, what experience do you have? Show me your qualifications. Like, how long have you spent in video gaming?
Yeah.
Like, and actually, that's the natural reaction of all of us, I think, as fans and lovers of what video games have done for us. You know. Yeah.
But we've been we've been attacked, basically.
Yes, and that's how it feels. And you have to back away from that a little bit and just be a bit more. It's partly why I haven't said anything for 3 days, because I've wanted to just chew on it a little bit and think about, you know, why are they saying this?
Yeah.
Like, what is it behind it? And then do a bit more research and go out there and find out. You know, is there anything out there that suggests that gaming addictiveness is a behavioural, correctable syndrome? And actually, yes. There are some examples out there if you look. You go to Japan and they've had suicides in the past because kids have been traumatized by games. Well, we have to think about that.
And I think Korea as well has...
Korea had a player that played for too long and died as a result of playing for too long. So there are obviously excesses, right?
They put in controls.
Yes, they have.
To say you have
Same
to be
in
a certain
China.
age to play games online at this time.
But why did it take the death of a player to do that? Why couldn't we have been more proactive about that? So I see this as a genuine attempt to be proactive. I don't see it as being wholly negative, but I do think that it needs far more study. Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing that gets me, is that I hate conflating two things. Because if you paint all gamers on this brush of this is bad for you, I don't like that.
But you and I wouldn't have the careers that we have now if we hadn't been what they're now classing as addictive gamers. Like, I absolutely would fall into that, but I'm sure you would too at some point in our previous... But it didn't affect us. Therefore, maybe we wouldn't fall into that. Maybe we didn't have this disorder or disease, as they're calling it, because actually we are reasonably well socially adjusted. We do have friends outside. We do go and do other stuff. Most of my life revolves around eSports because I choose to do that, not because I have to, which is what an addiction is. I'm quite happy that, you know, if it all fell apart tomorrow, I'd go and do something else. Yeah. But I enjoy what I do. That's not an addiction. Yeah. It's only an addiction if it affects my life in a negative way. Now, in some ways it has in the past through my relationship with my children and my family. For sure. It's definitely affected that. But that's a decision I've made. That's a conscious decision I made that my career is very important to me. And that means I have to make sacrifices. That's not because I'm addicted to gaming, is it? No, but likewise, I went home and I played Overwatch for 4 hours last night. Now, is that addictive behaviour? Or was it me just wanting to play some video games in my underpants? I've given you that vision because I know how much you love it.
I don't want to think about it anymore.
But I don't know is the answer to that question. Is that addictive behaviour? Yeah. I don't think it is. I haven't been home in 6 weeks, so it can't be addictive behaviour. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone away for 6 weeks, would I? I wouldn't have gone away and done my job. I would have found a way of getting out of going to China or going to ESL One Birmingham. I would have found a way of not doing those things so I could play video games. That's addictive behaviour.
I think it when you get to the point of making bad decisions for your life, right? Yeah. When it's not just, I'm just blowing off steam, it's like you're actually causing issues, like ability to...
and absolutely probably happened to me in the past. Yeah. There's no doubt about that, but
life always gets in the way. Something in life always gets in the way. Yeah. But you're right. I like that point of view of being responsible, because I think as an industry, we shouldn't be waiting for the government to throw in regulation.
It's the same with all areas, isn't it? It's the same with the gambling and betting and skin gambling and everything. We need to be more responsible. I don't think it's a bad thing per se. It's just something that
and I suppose
we need to do better at. Right?
If we don't do it, someone else is going to come and stomp all over the industry that we love.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing is that if we don't talk to the WHO, then they'll just go ahead and make it themselves anyway. Yeah. So why don't we engage them?
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I mean, and one of the things that they're going to be talking about, which I want to move on to. See, I'm trying to segue now.
You are. It's nice. I like it. A little sweat.
Is they'll be talking about Fortnite, because it's been all over the news of my kids been playing Fortnite.
Yes, the greatest esport of all time.
Well, but the announcement not too long ago was Epic putting in $100 million of prize money into Fortnite.
Yep.
We're not too sure about the shape of this yet,
Sure.
unless you have inside information.
Well, I put a piece up on Luckbox.
Okay. I mean, who would have read that?
You may be able to go and see it right now.
Yeah.
It was just a wild stab in the dark of what I thought they could do. I don't have any inside information, but it's interesting that the first one they did at E3 looked a little bit like some of the things I'd put in the piece already.
Yeah.
And it's more because I don't think it takes a genius to work that out. I think it's more because they don't have to be a generic esport. They don't have to go down the road of regional qualifiers into big events, which lead through a season, which gets points, which ends up at the international. They don't have to do that. They don't have to conform, right? Epic don't have a massive history with esports in terms of hands-on esports. They've had Unreal Tournament, they've had Gears of War, but they've all been run by third parties, right?
Yeah.
They've never done anything themselves, straight for themselves. So therefore, they can go in there with a white piece of paper, blank page, write whatever they want to write, design it the way they want to design it. They can give away $20 million in one event in Las Vegas, in a UFC style, all down to one player, and give the winner $20 million, if that's what they really want to do, right? Imagine the waves that will cause. Imagine if they said, actually, we're going to do 2v2, and for every pro player, you have to have a celebrity player. And then imagine you've got, Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant involved, and David Beckham involved, and Conor McGregor involved, and all these people from different sports all involved in Vegas, in the Venetian, in the middle of a large casino for $20 million. I'm pretty sure people are going to get hyped.
See, that's spectacular, but it also
But
worries me.
it's entertainment.
Yeah.
Like, I think we need to be stop being so snobby.
I know, I'm elite. I'm
an
very
elitist
snobby.
too, but we need to stop being snobby about stuff and think about, what else could it be? Ultimately, it's entertainment, right? That's what it is. It's sport to you and I because we're very super competitive and we believe that the best of the best should win out, right? And that's fine. That's our sport. Dota's that kind of sport. CSGO's that kind of sport. But why does it mean every game has to be that? It doesn't have to be, does it?
Yeah.
They can invent their own way. Clash Royale are doing their own thing. They've got
Yeah.
their own thing going around doing sports stadiums and what have you. That's great. Rocket League, same thing. They've decided they want to do their own way. Rainbow Six is being done slightly different too. I think it's okay to have a mixture. Why are we so caught up on it has to be like this, it has to conform, it has to go down a sports angle, it has to be like this and franchised and doesn't.
And I'd actually say that if you made that game too competitive, you'd take away what makes it popular.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at what PUBG and H1Z1 have done so far. They haven't made it as esports yet, right? They're still struggling to find a formula or how to show it or what does it look like and how does it feel and how can I get across that incredible adrenaline rush of being the last alive against 3 other people from the same squad. Like, they haven't been able to translate that as well as they should have yet.
Yeah.
Because it's a difficult game to do. It's a difficult game to broadcast and fit into the same esports conformity of every other game.
Am I just being a snob then, saying, is this really esports? Or does it not matter then?
No. Anything can be an esport.
I am.
Anything can be an esport. FIFA's an esport. F1's an esport now.
Yeah.
No. Anything that's competitive and play for prize money in a professional way with structured rules, that's an esport.
I always think, see, there are certain games which are considered tier 1 esports.
Of course.
Which are the Counter-Strike, Dota,
Yep.
League of Legends, and then there's all sorts now of Overwatch, and
Call of Duty,
Hearthstone, Call of Duty, Rainbow
StarCraft.
Six. But the point is, those games right at the top, they are seriously competitive.
Sure.
As in the thing that you're watching for is that tiny margin of being slightly better.
Okay, but let me throw this at you. Who the hell are you, Sujoy, to decide that Rainbow Six isn't as competitive as Counter-Strike Global Offensive?
I wasn't saying that about
Who
Rainbow
the hell
Six.
are you,
I
Sujoy?
wasn't saying that about Rainbow Six.
Rainbow Six fans, get on it now.
I wasn't. What I was saying was that something like Fortnite
Yeah,
is entertaining because it's entertaining,
sure.
not because...
But the skill ceiling might still be as high, or if not higher than other games. I mean, sure, I think there is an element of snobbery to this, but I think you can safely say that StarCraft 2 is more challenging than most other esports, right? Dota 2 is more challenging than most other MOBAs, if not all other MOBAs.
You're going to make some enemies.
but it genuinely accepted that it takes a little bit more brain power to deal with that game.
I mean,
right?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm a Dota
Likewise, people would argue that CSGO has a higher skill ceiling than Call of Duty does because of the fact that it's PC console, and then we're back into that master race thing again. But those are generally accepted. We might not like them, and especially when it's your game being compared to another game, you hate it, obviously. But realistically, it's probably true. But it still doesn't make any of them less competitive or less relevant.
Yeah.
You know, CSGO is not the number one game in the world because it's the hardest game in the world or the easiest game in the world. It's found a nice balance between the two. I always use this analogy, right? A competitive esport is really good if it does two things only at the base level. Forget graphics and you assume that everything else works and the game frickin' loads and you can save stuff and get replay, all that kind of stuff. But there are two basic things. And the first one is it easy to get into? Right? Yeah. Overwatch is a good example of a game that's super easy to get into. The second thing that makes it a really good esport is it difficult to master. Easy to get into, difficult to master. Right. Those are the key ingredients for me.
So it's that learning
apply it
curve,
to Counter-Strike, apply it to Dota, apply it to League of Legends, apply it to Overwatch. All of those games are easy to get into, really hard to master.
Yeah.
StarCraft 2, probably quite hard to get into.
Yeah. I mean,
very hard to master, right? So that's an extreme version, and that might be why it's tailed off, right? And it can't attract new players. Yeah. Dota's struggled recently to attract more new players, right? Again, it's quite hard to get into. It's relatively easy to get into because you can do it and you can play.
Yeah.
But to get good at it takes a long time, a lot of patience, right? So same thing. So maybe that's why League of Legends was slightly better, because it was easier to get into. I'm not saying it's a better game or more skillful or less skillful. I'm just saying maybe it was easier to get into. Their tutorials were better. Their new entrance system was better. Their menu design GUI was better. Whatever it might have been. Yeah. It was easier to get into. Still hard to master, though. Same as Dota is. So those are the two things that I always come back to.
Yeah. And I suppose like being snobby is no good and just having this elitist esports, because then how do the new players get into it?
Do you play Clash Royale?
Yes, I do actually.
Super easy to get into, right? Super easy. Like, I've been playing it. It's super easy. Yeah, of course I play it.
Oh, okay.
I'm not very good at it, but I play it. It's fun. It's easy, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually quite hard to master, even though on paper it doesn't look like it should be. It looks like it's pay to win. It looks like I should be able to buy some cards and beat people. It looks like decision making, rock, paper, scissors. But actually it's quite hard to win.
I'm trying to copy some of the pro players. Like,
no, and I can't do it either. You're like, I don't understand.
This is the #1 deck in the world.
Yeah, exactly. You use the deck it's awful. And I'm like, I'm getting beaten every game. I lost 9 in a row with the best deck in the world. How is that possible?
Yeah. There has to be. I mean, there is skill in every game. But I actually think, so having other esports games are kind of the gateway to sometimes.
Definite gateways. I mean, I use FIFA whenever we talk to clients, right, at Code Red. I always say, let me take you through the journey. FIFA, it's a really easy way of getting into it, right? Rocket League's next because it's kind of similar. It's kind of football. It's kind of score-based. It's easy to see. Scoreboard, yeah, okay. Next up's Counter-Strike and Call of Duty because it's still score-based and you can see it on the screen. You don't have to know everything about it. The hard one is a MOBA. Actually, it's very tough. You take them to a Dota event. Like, if I've done FIFA with them and I've done Call of Duty with them, the next stage is let's do a MOBA, right? You give them Dota and they go, all right, so it's 3-1. Yeah, but that's not true because that's just the kills. Oh, right, so the other team are winning. Well, no, because the other team got more gold. Oh, so they're winning. Well, no, because technically these guys have got more XP right now. So they're winning. Well, no, because these guys have destroyed more towers. And they're like, right, so they're winning. Well, no, because these guys have got a late game comp, and these guys have got... And it's just like, geez, can someone show me how the hell this game works? Like, I need to understand who's going to win this game, and I can't see that from what's shown on the screen. So it's a much more complicated game than anything else out there in sport that you can even relate them to. So, yeah, it's super difficult. But you take them on a journey, right? FIFA's one of the first things. Rocket League's one of the first things you show them because it's super easy to understand.
Yeah. I mean, should we be doing more? We used to have noob streams.
Yeah.
TI.
Yeah, we did. I loved them.
Yeah.
TI4, I tuned in. Purge did an incredible job of enthusing me about it, but also teaching me. I was just like, holy crap, this is so much better from an educational purpose. I didn't necessarily stay with the noob stream the whole way through, but I definitely checked in through the tournament because I found it very, very useful.
But they didn't have it again after that, which is a shame.
I would love to see that come back.
Yeah, me too. I honestly... But the thing is, though, I wouldn't watch it now because I know enough about Dota.
No, but you don't and I don't, but someone new would.
Yeah.
Like, imagine, pick a game that you don't know much about, Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
If they offered a noob stream for the Six Invitational, you'd tune in, right? And you'd go, oh, okay, well, that's cool. And then once you get to a certain level, you're like, I'm good now. I can fly on my own. Yeah. I'll go back to the mainstream. I did this with Channel 4 in the 80s, right? I was intrigued by NFL. I thought, what is this game? And Channel 4 started showing it in UK TV. It was the first time it had ever been shown in the UK. It was 1986. Yeah. Chicago Bears beating New England 46-10. The Fridge, William Perry, giant man of a man, mountain of a man. And it's the first time I'd ever watched NFL. I was just like, oh, this game looks amazing, but I have no idea what the hell was going on, right? Luckily for me, nor did Channel 4. So Channel 4 employed 4 people that kind of knew what they were talking about because they were ex-NFL players or whatever, but described it. Hey, guys, so we're going to freeze it here and just show you this. This is going to be a field goal attempt. Now, a field goal, and they would just explain what a field goal was and how you could, how you could get a point for it or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool, I get that. A bit later on, like a year in, we'd all kind of grown up with it. Then they start explaining, hey, so we're going to freeze the action here. This is called a shotgun, right? And they'd explain a play, and you'd just be like, oh, God, I'm getting really technical now. I know what a field goal is. I know what a touchdown is. And now I'm learning about shotgun plays. This is awesome. And then you learn about different positions, and they educated everyone over a period of 4 or 5 years.
Have that?
And that's what I'm saying. I think it should be. It should be something we do
That
more
sounds
often.
brilliant.
Money.
Although ESL One Birmingham, we had BBC come and do a broadcast, which had Shane and Durka doing a much more casual broadcast. What, you're not very happy about that?
Well, I don't know.
Are you worried? Are you worried about what you're
let me ask you this, right? The World Cup's on right now for football. If the BBC had never covered football before, do you think they would cover it like they covered our event? Would they send people to the World Cup and go, hey, guys, so this is a football and this is a pitch, and basically if one team scores more goals than the other one, they win a match. And if they win a match, they get 3 points. Like, it's Janet and John, right? And I get that you want to educate, and I get that the BBC's audience won't necessarily be au fait with it, but here's why it's disappointing from someone inside eSports. If the BBC are coming to cover something, do it fucking properly. Like, blow it out of the park. Like, don't do it half-hearted and not pay for people's flights to come over and scrimp and scrape on the amount of talent you use on the show. And don't do that. Do it properly. Please do it properly. For the love of God, do it properly. Because that adds more legitimacy to it. It adds more mainstream acceptance. When you do it like that, it's more like you're saying, we don't understand anything, so we need a show that helps us understand it. Well, that's not your audience. Your job isn't to do that for yourselves. It's to do it for your audience. It's to make sure that you're being... what is it, the remit that they have? They're cross-border spectrum. Impartiality. They have to be cross-spectrum about everything, right? Which means they have to show... If we have a large Indian contingent in a particular part of the UK, they have to provide programs for those people too, right? And they do. We're no different in eSport. They have to provide programs for... That wasn't a program for me as an eSports fan. That was a program for a 50-year-old plus person who's never seen an event. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. You wouldn't show snooker like that, or football like that, or darts like that. So why have you done it to us?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could say, well, from one point of view, certain people think linear TV is just irrelevant. Yeah,
it is.
And
I mean, it is irrelevant.
To become more and more irrelevant as we go through.
Yeah.
Well, I hardly ever watch TV.
No, I mean, like I've said to many broadcasters already in the last 18 months. Like, you're asking the wrong questions. The question they're asking is, how do we get the people between 16 and 25 to come back and watch our station? And that's the question they're asking, right? The question they need to be asking is, how do we go out to those people? How do we change to adapt to the way they watch media?
Right.
Because then they'll get them back. Netflix have changed the world as far as TV shows are concerned, right? Netflix and Amazon now fighting against each other, producing incredible content, right? Incredible TV series. And guess what they do? They appeal to the very thing they know all of us that watch online love. All at once. Yeah. Like, it's the ultimate binge, right? We've got 12 episodes of The Crown to watch. Oh, my God.
And
it's
you
brilliant.
End an episode, it's like, I don't have to wait a week.
But exactly. But I also can watch it at my own leisure. Yeah. But by next year, The Who would have classified that as an addictive property of watching binge, banning Amazon and
they
Netflix.
come out every 10 years with one of these.
Yeah, there's BMXing in the 80s.
Let's move on. Let's a few quick fires that people wrote in on Twitter. Favorite single event ever?
Always tough because there's been so many. But I always say TI6.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fantastic in every way. Like, the games were great, venue was great, fans were great. Talent group I worked with were exceptional. We had a great time, and the show was absolutely brilliant. It delivered not flawless, but as close to flawless as you could imagine.
Yeah.
So yeah, TI6 for me.
Some of these are not short questions. So
All right.
I'll
try and keep them short.
Okay, behind the scenes story. Do you want to give us something, or is this?
I have to change the names to protect the innocents. But I have so many backstage stories, and of so many different people, and they have of me as well. I'm sure, which is why we always protect each other. But I have a fun one from last year. Again, won't tell you the player, but players checked into a hotel, and they all given a chaperone, as we often do now. And the chaperone said, "Has anyone got any requests?" And one player said he would like to spend some time with a kitten. Cuddle time.
A real kitten.
A real kitten. Because he was feeling a bit homesick and what have you. So the chaperone went out and found a member of the team that had just had a cat that had some kittens, managed to bring it into the hotel and allow the player a couple of hours some alone time with the kitten. And the hotel then complained because obviously there were no animals in the room. So the org, the people that are running the event, paid for the room to be cleaned as well, which is.
And you say there are no divas.
There are some divas. we do have some divas in esports. Yes, they're not J-Lo level yet, but they're getting there.
Oh well, some person on Twitter asked about the launch control of the TTRS.
Yes, I've scared JJ already. Yeah, I've scared JJ already. I think a full episode on the launch control. Yeah, we could probably do 3 hours on it, JJ.
No,
and that would be bad. So we should probably move on.
I don't think we have time for that.
No, we should probably move on.
We have to wrap up today.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for
no worries.
Paul.
Nice.
And this was the inaugural show.
It was. We've lost our podcast virginity together.
That sounds awkward. But we are coming back. So the Luckbox Podcast is going to be a regular feature. So look out for it. We're looking to do these every 2 weeks. I'm going to try and get you back
every couple of weeks.
If you...
No, sorry. Yes, every 2 weeks.
We're gonna dial you in every so often.
Yes, we're trying to do remote ones
I know
if we
you're
can.
very busy.
Yeah, we can do remote ones, can't we? We should try and do in situ ones.
Yes.
Where you fly to whatever event I'm doing, and then we do one live from the event.
I would love to do
That'd be amazing, and then you get to travel as well.
Do we have to pack up the studio?
Do
you think we can just do it on a phone?
Probably do phones.
Yeah, it's fine.
Phones will be fine.
That sounds amazing. We should definitely do that. And check out the Luckbox website where
Indeed.
we've got new content every day from...
Not every day from me.
Not every day from
Not every
you,
day.
but
every other week.
Content
every other week, article and blogs and stuff.
Yeah,
there's lots of really cool stuff up on there this week.
Yeah.
Very busy.
So thank you for joining us, and
yes.
see you soon.
Peace.